Copilots, the podcast where we watch not just the first episode of a show,
but also the second. Some shows just don't have the best pilot episode, and giving it that second chance might just change your mind.
Here we take that chance for you and let you know our opinion on if a show deserves more than just one shot.
I'm Justice. Alongside me is my co-pilot Josh. Now, let's get ready for takeoff. Your in-flight entertainment this week will be Daisy Jones and the Six.
Did you forget the title of the show?
I did. You had a problem with that?
No, I was just wondering. It sounded like you were asking a question rather than stating a fact.
I was asking a question rather than stating a fact.
Oh, yes. The in-flight entertainment for this week will be Daisy Jones and the Six.
But there's 5 of them.
Yeah, won't that confuse people?
Yeah, it will.
Daisy Jones and the Six is an Amazon Prime original TV show. Although, why do we still call them TV shows at this point in history?
I believe the answer is indoctrination.
Oh, well.
Or culture, I guess is what people will tell you. But culture is just the lies you've been told that you've been indoctrinated with. Culture's a lie. It's all indoctrination.
I would say it's because we still watch them on televisions. But that's not even true most of the time anymore, right? Like, people watch them on computers, on their phone, on tablets, like...
Also, let's face it, televisions aren't really, they are just monitors. We've given a special name nowadays.
I mean, they typically lag worse than most monitors.
Yeah, they're shitty monitors. We've given special names. That way we don't realize they're shitty monitors.
Yeah. Anyways, episode 1 of Daisy Jones and the Six is titled Track 1, Come and Get It.
Come and get what? Also, are we allowed to review these? They're tracks and not episodes.
Episode 1 is entitled Track 1, Come and Get It. If you look on Amazon Prime, it's literally called Episode 1, Track 1, Come and Get It.
I'll accept this then.
Mm-hmm. I had the same worry for a second when I saw the episode titles. I was like, oh no. And then I was like, oh wait, it says episode in front of it. We're good.
Okay. It has hit the bare minimum qualifier to be on this podcast. Not that it probably doesn't want to be, but it qualifies, and that's what matters.
Doesn't koi mean come and get it?
I mean, it's like, come on, or continue, or some shit like that. I don't know exactly what it means. I know the sentiment of what it means in the game.
Episode 1 of Daisy Jones and the Six. Track 1, koi.
That feels like cultural appropriation. I don't think you're allowed to say it like that.
Say it like what? Like koi?
I just don't think you're allowed to say it. There's something off about you when you say it. It's just the whole vibe, you know? I think if someone else said it, it'd be fine, but I don't think you can say it. The vibes just feel bad coming from over there.
What?
You're giving me bad vibes at the moment.
What?
You got a problem with it?
I don't understand. That's my problem with it. How am I giving off bad vibes?
You just got bad vibes.
By saying koi.
You just got bad vibes, man.
What?
So we start the show, though.
No, you gotta explain this. You can't just walk away and be like, no, you sound racist, bro.
I never said that. I said you had bad vibes. I was saying I don't think you can say it.
What other reason is there... Like, what are the vibes? Why can't I say...
I appreciate you didn't say this time. No, I just felt like saying something that would just, like, trip you up, and it worked pretty fucking well. That's all that was to that.
Fuck you, koi.
So this show is...
This show is a documentary about the band Daisy Jones and the Six.
Yeah, the show is a mockumentary.
No, it's about a real band named Daisy...
No, it's not. It's not a real band. I hate to break it to you, but...
Their music's on Spotify.
Yeah, the music was made specifically for this show.
No, this show is a documentary about Daisy.
No.
Can you prove it? Were you live in the 70s?
I was.
Fuck.
Yeah.
You got me.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. It's not a real band.
Okay, so it's not a documentary?
No, once again, it's giant corporations lying to you. They made it up.
Daily life in America.
They made it all up.
Okay, so you said it's a mockumentary?
Yes.
Is that fair? Isn't a mockumentary more like mermaids? This is just a show.
I'm
using
sorry.
Documentaries.
Are you telling me that the History Channel's mermaid documentary was made up? Because that's a fucking lie. Mermaids are real. The History Channel told me so.
I thought Mermaids was Discovery Channel.
I'm pretty sure it was history and the history's long line of downfalls of things. I mean, not downfall. Obviously, the show.
No, it was Animal Planet. That's what it was.
Either way, I think they're all owned by the same fucking corporation now.
I mean, Animal Planet and Discovery were owned by the same company.
And I think history's owned by them now too. I don't fucking know. Either way, yeah, I would call it a mockumentary. Mockumentary isn't necessarily a bad thing. It means it's mocking the documentary style. What we call that mermaid thing is just bullshit.
I mean, it convinced me mermaids were real.
Really?
Yeah, for a solid couple weeks.
I'm sorry.
Until I took the time to actually
think about anything I fucking said.
Use the Google machine.
The Google machine's not real. I learned that one from the Science Channel. They told me Google was made up.
I mean, technically Google was made up. That's how
Exactly.
that's how things are invented.
Some mermaids are real. They were just invented.
I mean, yeah. From what I understand, they used to be shown off in like traveling circuses and stuff.
Okay. So I think we can conclude this episode by saying mermaids are real and Google's a lie.
An invention. It's made up. It's not a lie.
I think it's a lie, but whatever.
Okay, so Daisy Jones and the Six, to actually get into the show, we start with like splash screens showing the band and stuff, like pictures.
Highlights from their career.
Yeah, we get a bunch of text on the screen detailing like that these pictures are from their sold out performance in Chicago, October 1977, following the release of their multi-platinum album Aurora.
Yeah, and I mean also in that like text overlay telling us that like they were the biggest band of their time and this was like the biggest tour, but it does that classic argument here, things like, but then they broke up.
And they haven't talked about what happened at this show in 20 years because this was their last show they ever performed together.
Yep.
And they haven't spoke about it publicly in 20 years until now.
Yep.
So we cut between the members of the band in the present day.
Yeah, and we kind of just get introduced to them all, right?
Like mic checks and like how long is this going to take? The lead singer of the band, Billy Dunn, is like surprised that Daisy agreed to do these interviews.
Yeah, which I think gives us a hint into probably part of our future problems being issues between Billy and Daisy, or Daisy just not wanting to do any publicity facing thing.
I think it feels more like he had a relationship with Daisy.
I have no idea. It's all complications there of some sort, obviously.
So yeah, Billy Dunn is one of the lead singers, songwriters for the band Daisy Jones and the Six.
Yes.
We then get introduced to Daisy Jones, who is also a lead singer, songwriter for the band Daisy Jones and the Six.
Mm-hmm. And we start with her really as our introduction to the past of these characters.
Yeah, the interviewer has a very pretentious question, which is like, when did you fall in love with music? Which is a bullshit question.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Like, I've spent most of my life around musically inclined people,
and
I don't think any of them could give you a defining moment where they were like, oh, this is when I fell in love with music. Because like you don't have a moment where it's not a like love at first sight kind of thing with music. Like nobody ever like just hears one song and is like, oh, I'm gonna do music now.
Nah, that's what everyone does.
You're a liar and you know it.
For me, it was London Bridges falling down. From that moment, I just knew music was a thing that would be with me forever, and I couldn't parse it from myself. You know what I mean? It was a part of me at that point.
I want to douse you in gasoline and set you on fire.
I mean, that's another good song, but I mean, I'm not feeling that like demonizing human eater worship right now. But you know, it's all good.
Is that an actual song by?
No, it's not. But I just threw out a band that I knew had a weird fucking name. And, like, I can't remember any of their songs, but I was like, we'll run it.
Yeah, so nobody has that moment. You're a liar. You're a filthy, filthy liar. Nobody has that moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody somewhere didn't care about music for, like, 18 years of their life and then heard a specific song and was like, oh, music. But 99% of people who enjoy making music, listening to music, engaging with music do not have that moment.
Oh yeah, I would assume not. But for Daisy, she talks about how she's always loved music, which is the only appropriate answer here.
Like I said, Daisy Jones's answer, not wrong.
Yeah.
The interviewer's question, bullshit.
Yeah, and we're kicked back to her childhood, which also here the interviewer / producer, editor, whoever in charge of the documentary provides us with voiced over lines about how Daisy Jones had it all.
He's an author. He wrote a biography about her.
Okay.
We get him on screen
Do we?
later.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Right after he starts his voiceover.
Yeah.
He wrote a biography about her.
About how Daisy Jones grew up with it all. She had money, stability, wealth, lived in Los Angeles, wanted for nothing.
But then we see her mother being kind of like an abusive piece of shit. But like not like
emotionally abusive.
Yeah, an emotionally abusive piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. Her parents are having a fancy little get together, and she is in her room listening to a record, headphones on, singing her little heart out.
Yeah. And the mother storms in because they can hear her out in the party.
Yeah.
And essentially yells at her, but then realizes that by yelling at her, she's drawing attention to herself. So instead, like, menacingly whispers in her daughter's ear
that no one wants to hear her. And then walks out, making a snide comment to the rest of her friends and partygoers that it's like her daughter was born to mock her.
put on this earth to mock her.
Yeah.
She doesn't say born because that would recognize that she is her mother.
Yes. And then they shut the door and she's left in there by herself.
Mm-hmm. We then cut to a couple years later and she's sneaking out to go to a concert.
Yeah.
Although sneaking out might be a strong term. Her parental oversight is like
minimal at best.
Non-existent.
Yeah.
And she sees the rock band The Byrds perform, and that's the moment she falls in love with music. There you go, interviewer. You got it.
Yeah. I mean, arguably, this is the moment she realized she wanted to do music, but that's an entirely different answer than loving music.
Yeah. Like, that's the question the interviewer...
Like, when did you realize you wanted to do music professionally is an entirely different question, yeah.
Or not even professionally. When did you realize you wanted
to make music?
Yeah, like, that's a reasonable question.
It's a vaguely reasonable question. I think most people actively enjoy making rhythms, even if they're not like doing it intentionally. I feel like almost every person will occasionally just like tap something out or like make noises in like a rhythmic.
I would say I beatbox sometimes, but it's not beatboxing, or it is just making mouth noises.
Yeah, but it's mouth noises to a rhythm.
Yeah, it's like
that's not gonna pick up well.
Yeah, it's not gonna pick up on the mic, and it's just gonna piss you off. But like, I do that so often. Like,
you know what happens.
At the same time, temporally, but not within the documentary. Mm-hmm. Billy Dunn is growing up in Pittsburgh. And
so is his brother Graham, and Graham's three friends, Chuck, Eddie, and I forget their drummer's name. I think his last name's like Varjas or something. Varjas.
Warren. Warren's his name.
That'll make sense, yeah. So we got Billy and then his younger brother, Graham, and Graham's three friends, Chuck, Eddie, and Warren.
Yep. And Billy kind of starts the interview for this segment of the band, and he's like, growing up in Pittsburgh when I did, you had two choices. He doesn't even say Pittsburgh. He says, growing up in the small town I did, which, fuck you, Pittsburgh's not a small town.
Yeah.
Growing up in the small town I did, you had two choices.
You worked in the mill, or you fought in the war.
It's 1970. What war was that? Vietnam, maybe?
I mean, it'd be Vietnam for the 70s, right?
I don't know. They all happened in the time of Across the Universe in my brain.
They all happened at some point, yeah. But he mentions that he decided he wasn't going to do either of those. And we see him like at a music store practicing on guitar and stuff. Then he goes home, and we're introduced to his brother, who is apparently just up in his room, depressed that his girlfriend broke up with him.
His mother and his brother Billy, and later one of his friends calls him it, have a nickname for him, and I'm struggling to remember what that nickname is. It's like Ducky or some shit.
I don't remember.
Yeah, he has a really weird nickname.
Yeah, but Billy just like assures his brother that it'll be fine, that he'll bounce back from this. Why? Because Graham knows how to play the guitar, and he's 14.
He's 14.
Like, he's 14, there'll be other girls, and there'll definitely be other girls because he knows how to play the guitar. So then we cut to Graham and his friends at school, and Graham's told them that he's going to start a band, and they were all part of it. But so is his brother Billy.
Yeah, they're initially like, why would you want to be in a band? What, like, who cares? And then he's like, yeah, I just wanted to do something with my brother and my three best friends. And they're like, wait, you're telling me the Billy Dunn is going to be in our band? Because apparently Billy's, like, got a history of, like, being in bands or something.
I mean, some history of music, but it never clearly comes out and states it. But it is very obvious from the way everyone in the realm of being involved with their story before they leave for Los Angeles, Billy Dunn was just extremely fucking popular.
Yeah.
So, to the degree that we got a quote, like, just before it really started, and we get it again here in a moment, that Billy was not part of the band.
Oh yeah, my favorite part is after like we get the flashback of him telling his friends about the band.
Yeah.
We cut to Billy in the interview chair, and he's like, I never agreed to join their band. I said I'd watch and listen. And then Graham's like, yeah, he didn't agree to join our band, but by the second practice, he was basically in the band.
And by the third day, it was his band.
Yeah, by the third practice, it was his band. Yeah. So, and that he ends up like integrating into the band because like he's doing what he said. He's watching, critiquing, listening.
Yeah.
Like, and he talks about the guitarist like rushing apart. And Graham's like, I don't know. Why don't you like show us how it's done?
Yeah. So they basically just trick him into doing it, and then he's part of the band.
We cut from Billy taking over the band to LA, where now teenage Daisy, 15, 16-year-old, is spending her nights hopping through bars and watching bands like The Who and Zeppelin play.
Going to the Whiskey
Troubadour.
The Troubadour. All that shit. It's fucking top tier.
You know,
the places to be.
The literal best time in music, the 70s through the 80s in LA on the Strip. The literal best time in the history of music.
I mean, it would have been roughly just before the 70s, I think, in the time frame of the show.
No, because her first cutscene is, her first like flashback is 1970.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was before that.
No, because by the time the band breaks up, she's only like 22, 21.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Continue forward.
Yeah. The show is going to go off the rails fast. I know we've only watched the first two episodes, but she's. So, yeah. And it's during this time that she, like, leaves a bar with the lead singer of a band.
Yeah.
Because he's like, hey, we're all going to this party. And then he takes her to his hotel and sexually assaults her.
Yep.
This is also where this is where she becomes Daisy Jones. Because she changes her name here. Her name was Margaret, but she didn't want to be that weak little girl anymore.
This is all expressed by her as an adult in the documentary, where she refutes the idea that she was just being naive and that, like, that's not okay. What happened wasn't okay. It's her literally being like, no, that's bullshit. People that say I was just naive are wrong, which is entirely correct.
But yeah, it's also because, like, contextually, the documentary part of the show takes place in 1997, and it's way before any type of Me Too movement.
Yeah.
So, like, 100%, it was, like, people who had, like, heard about this or, like, it was published in magazines were like, oh, you know, she was just a naive little girl. Like, it wasn't sexual assault. She hooked up with the lead singer of blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, she obviously wanted it. Like, those are the things people are saying. And she's like,
no,
no,
it's bullshit.
It's, yeah, like,
I was fucking 15.
even if I had agreed to it, it still was rape. Like,
yeah. So from there, we then go back to Pittsburgh and the Dunn brothers, which is what they have titled their group. And they're talking about how in, like, the first year, 2 years, they, like, literally just in the very beginning of their time, they've played.
Warren's like, we played 10 proms, countless graduation parties, numerous sweet 16s and weddings. Graham, in this interview, refers to the band at this point as just like an escape, a distraction for them.
Yeah, no one thought they were going to do anything with it. They were all just kind of doing it to escape their everyday lives.
Even Billy, who, like, was, quote-unquote, attempting to pursue music as a career, was really just, like, messing around with the band. Like, it wasn't a real thing for anyone.
Yeah, but one night, everything changed.
Everything changed when the Dunn father attacked.
Well, no.
Well, no, he
got attacked.
It was Graham who attacked.
Yeah.
But
so they're performing at a wedding one night when Billy sees his father, who supposedly ran away, was not supposed to be in Pittsburgh anymore.
Ran away to, like, Georgia or
an entirely different
Alabama.
fucking state.
One of those states that doesn't, like, matter because it's so redneck that it'll never actually be a valid state.
And he sees his father there, though, at this wedding, flirting with a girl who's easily, like, half his age or a lot less than that, and gets upset, goes to confront him after he points out to Graham. Graham's just like, he's not worth it. They're arguing back and forth. The rest of the band's fucking confused because they're just like,
yeah, they finish their set,
what?
They go outside, they argue about it, and then they go back inside. And,
well, Billy charges back inside and the rest follow to mitigate things.
you say that, but nobody mitigates anything.
I said trying to mitigate things.
Billy goes up to his father, he's like, hey, do you know me? And his father's like, should I know you?
And then it takes a bit more prodding, and then Billy's father looks over at the fucking guitar, and he's like, well, I know that guitar, and I know who I gave it to, so I guess I know you. And Billy grabs his guitar, tries to shove it back into his father's hands, and is just like, take it, I don't fucking want it.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with you. Fuck off. Get out of my life like you said you were.
And his dad refuses, so Billy just smashes the guitar on the ground and leaves.
So smashes the guitar on the ground and then leaves the guitar laying there.
Yeah.
And he storms off.
And the rest of the band starts to follow, and then Graham just hauls off and punches him in the fucking face.
Yeah. This scene's very cathartic for me.
Yeah. And so this is the point where Graham's like, well, we continue outside, and Billy then just kind of riles everyone. He's like,
Well,
we're
before
going
we
to
get
be
to
the best
that,
fucking band in the world.
before we get to the best fucking band in the world speech, there's a little bit of the interview in the present day we need to, like, discuss, because Graham is like, for me, I really never had a father. I was 4 when he left.
Yeah.
But Billy worshipped that guy. And, like, I think that is important for the context of, like, part of why Billy, like, his character development through the show, but also, like, the guitar smashing scene.
Yeah.
And then Billy gives his greatest band in the world speech.
And just like, we're all going to be in the best fucking band in the world. It'll be great.
As long as we all stick together.
Yep. And then we also have a point with Billy in the actual interview stage, and Billy's just like, I thought we were going to be the best band in the world even before Daisy.
Yep. Meanwhile, Daisy is becoming this drugged out hippie writing songs and partying. I'm not using hippie as a like negative.
It's just very much the aesthetic, which matches with the time period.
Yeah, like she's got multiple "Make Love Not War" posters in her room. Like, again, not an insult. I'm a millennial. We don't hate the hippies. We kind of idolize their culture.
And then we see that her mom, like, finds her book of songs that she's been working on, and Daisy's really fucking upset by it. But then at the end of, like, their little argument, currently that argument's very hard to do, though, because it's very much one-sided. Daisy is upset. Her mother basically does not acknowledge her at all in this conversation.
Oh, my favorite part of this
until at the end.
Well, my favorite part of this interview scene is, like, while we're getting, like, the montage of her, like, smoking weed and, like, going to concerts and party at bars. There's one scene where she's, like, sitting at a table in a restaurant front with a bunch of musicians and stuff.
Yes.
And one guy has a pill, and he's like, "This is the new shit." And she's like, "Well, what does it do?" And he's like, "I have no idea." And she takes it from him and takes it anyways. We cut to the end of the interview, and the interviewer said something. We don't get their question, but she's like, "Oh, would I say I was off the rails? Well, a little bit, yeah." And then we get her mother finding her
and her
songbook.
mother just like doesn't really interact with her at all. And this argument, like I said, tentative call out that because it's so one-sided, ends with Daisy asking her mother if the songs are any good. To which her mother just places her hand on her face and goes, "You're pretty," and leaves.
It's the most condescending.
Yeah, very much so. All the while, her father is looking in at this entire interaction from the doorway, saying nothing. Literally, we have not heard this actor or her father speak at all in these 2 episodes.
And then we're back in Pittsburgh, and we're at a laundromat.
Yep.
Where Billy has a very awkward moment with a girl.
Camilla, who we learn quite immediately is important because we see her in the interview.
It's actually a very good point. In like an interview like this, most of the people that show up in the interview are going to be important.
Yeah.
I say most because that author hasn't showed up again by episode 2.
Yeah.
They literally used him for a blurb, shot a scene in his office.
Well, that's because he's an expert.
Yeah, shot a scene in his office because he's not using like a relaxed backdrop like everybody else.
So I'm going to go to mention it because it happens very, very soon. And we're talking about the interview thing. There was a character who by this point was like, oh, they're either not going to be in the band long or they're going to be dead. And that is Chucky.
Oh, yeah, Chucky.
Because we had not seen him at all. We didn't see him for the mic tests or anything. I was like, that one you've mentioned. He's dead or not in the band.
So Billy, like I said, has this incredibly awkward encounter with this girl because they're both in the laundromat, and like he's stealing glances at her because he thinks she's attractive, but she's also stealing glances at him.
Yeah, she's glanced up at him a few times, and she eventually walks over and goes to ask him a question.
And she's like, "Hey, are you?" And he's like, "Oh yes, I am Billy Dunn. Nice to meet you."
And she's like, "Okay, am I supposed to know who you are?"
And then we cut to the interview, and she's like, "Of course I knew who Billy Dunn was."
And not because he was in some band. Every girl knew who Billy Dunn was.
It's so good though.
So he's really awkward and on the back foot. She's like, "I was just gonna ask if you were using that basket." And so when she gets the basket, they're doing laundry. She absolutely pretends not to know who he is. And he asks her out on a date, and she's just like, well, why would I do that?
Oh, come on. You're just giving me some of the best dialogue in this entire episode.
Fine, go ahead.
She's like, what's a big rock star like you doing at the local neighborhood laundry? And he's like, well, my mom's washer and dryer broke.
He's like, oh, so you're a really sweet son then if you're helping your mom out like that.
And then he's like, well, it's also my washer and dryer. She's like, oh yeah, because, you still live at home with your mom. Which, again, in the 21st century, we've kind of like normalized that a little bit. Unless you're like over 40 and then you still feel judgmental about people living with their parents in their 20s. But in the 70s...
I mean, in the 70s, it was still more common.
Then like...
There was just this huge boom in like the mid-80s to like mid-2000s where it was like, oh, you're over 20. Why the fuck are you living at home?
Yeah. But it's a very good scene. And then he's eventually like, look, if you give me your phone number, I'll write you a song. And she's like, how many girls has that pickup line worked on? He's like,
well, let me know. This will be my first time trying it.
I want to believe it is his first time trying it.
I think it is just from hearing how awkward he's being.
Oh, yeah. He's normally just being like, hey, yeah, I'm Billy Dunn. It's probably like...
Yeah, I feel like that normally works for him, so he had to come up with something else.
This time she's like, oh, I don't even know who Billy Dunn is. God, it's such a good scene. It's so much fun.
And then we cut to adult Eddie from the Dumb Brothers, or Daisy Jones in the Six. And he's like, he explains kind of that he'd been friends with Camilla for a very long time. And that, like, everybody loved Camilla. Camilla was a great person. And it is very obvious here that he was/is still infatuated with Camilla.
Yeah, he's just like, even back then, you couldn't help but falling in love with her.
Nobody could.
Yeah, like...
But from here, we kind of just see that she's hanging out with the band. She goes to practice with them. She was recording them, takes pictures and such.
A lot of her footage ends up being used for this documentary.
Yeah, definitely. And then we see her inviting Billy to her house for dinner.
Yeah, and like her parents obviously don't like him very much because
no, her parents aren't bad with him at first.
Yeah, because he works at the steel mill and like,
and then they're asking like what he plans to do in the future and like what he likes to do. And Camilla's like,
well, it's like they didn't even ask what he plans to do in the future initially because like in their mind,
steel
mill is like a lifelong job.
Camilla mentions that he's a musician.
Oh no, he first mentions like, oh, it's just a temporary thing. I'm not going to be at the steel mill forever. And they're like, oh, so what do you plan on doing?
And then Camilla's like, oh, he's a musician. And then Camilla's father just like stone face sets in, and he's just like,
Like, so here's the thing. I don't know if this is like, okay, so the show, I don't like the show is aesthetically set in the 70s. I don't know if this is like, because when I was in high school, nobody would have been like, oh yeah, I'm in a band, because anybody could be in a band. It's like in 2023, I'm never like, oh yeah, I have a podcast. Because
I am all the time.
Everybody has a podcast. It's like you're like, oh, I have a podcast. Nobody's like, oh yeah, what's it about? Everybody's like, oh yeah, you look like a mid-20s white guy. Of course you have a podcast. Nobody questions it. It's just like when you're in high school, you're like an 18, 19-year-old with like any type of alternative sensibilities at all, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm in a band. Nobody was ever like, oh yeah, what's your band like?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is he could have just shut up and been like, oh yeah, I work at the steel mill.
Yeah.
Like there was no need for him to be like, oh yeah, I also have a band.
I mean, yeah, he just said it was temporary. Camilla's kind of the one that threw him on the bus there.
I mean, he didn't even say it was temporary.
Yeah, he didn't have to. Like, I get that
work at
point.
the steel mill.
No, I get that point, but I'm saying, like, he didn't bring up the music. It was his girlfriend who threw him under the bus of that part.
Just like, I work at the steel mill. Like, leave it at that. Like, if she's like, oh yeah, he also plays in a band or he makes music, be like, oh yeah, no, that's just a side thing I'm doing. Like, I like music.
Yeah.
Like, underplay it, dude.
Can't do that.
No, yeah, he can't do that.
No, I mean, for this show / genre that exists, or anything talking about music in the 70s or 80s,
but also
you can't do that.
Also because of who Billy Dunn is as a character.
Yeah.
He could never do that.
Sure.
Like, as a character.
I mean, I disagree with that. I think he could.
No, he's his first conversation with Camilla is like, oh yeah, I'm in a band. There's no way he could turn down that opportunity.
No, he definitely could.
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, after the dinner at her house, we cut to them heading to Chuck's garage for band practice, unless there was more about the dinner you wanted to say. Sorry.
Nope. And Chuck doesn't have the garage open for practice or anything.
He's just sitting on the stairs.
And everyone's just like, bro, what the fuck? And he's like, so, I got accepted into college. And they're like, you applied to college? Yeah, I did. And, I'm gonna go to college to be a dentist. And they're like, what about the band? None of us were serious about the band, guys. Like, what the fuck? You all knew this.
Which is wild, because at one point we definitely were not serious with the band. But after that wedding,
yeah,
the band actively agreed after that wedding they were serious about being a band. As a group, they agreed to that.
Yeah. Chucky missed that, note there. Was unaware that they were all actually being serious. He's like, oh, cool, we're in high spirits that one. But sure, we're going to be the best fucking band ever, guys. Yeah, obviously. Is this what it takes to make you feel better about the fact that you saw your dad and he just got, I'm cool, guys. Yeah, I'll agree. And so they all get upset and they're getting ready to leave. And they have a concert coming up soon, though.
Yeah, they're opening for,
the Winters.
A touring act, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, what the fuck are we going to do? And then Billy, his face lights up with an idea. He turns around, slaps Eddie on the chest and is just like, Eddie, you're on bass now. You're not doing lead and singing anymore. You're on bass. And Eddie's just like, okay, for how long? And they're all just like, thanks, man. And they all pile into the van. Fun fact, from what we've seen, Eddie remains the bassist for Daisy and the Six.
From the time that it's the Dunn Brothers all the way through
Daisy
1977,
Jones
October. Which I feel so bad for him, because as somebody who has played bass music for a good portion of their music playing life, unless you actively choose to be a bassist, and I don't mean just a bass guitarist, but a bass
play bass music of any sort, bass parts.
It really feels like you're getting relegated to the simplest stuff.
Yeah. Because
a lot of music isn't written with bass in mind.
God, no.
And so it's just chuggy quarters or chuggy 16ths or on the beats.
Hey, especially for rock at that time.
Yeah, I feel really bad because he's going from playing guitar.
Technical stuff. Really technical stuff. I mean, that's what he was practicing. He was practicing technical shit.
Yeah. To being a bassist. And there's nothing wrong with being a bassist. I love my bass guitar.
Yeah. I would argue bass is much more fun.
But it does feel like a kind of step down, especially
if it's not willing.
In the modern, in that era of rock music, 70s and 80s and shit.
And then from that appointment of Eddie to bass guitar, we got back to Daisy and we see her with her boyfriend, who has just found out she can fucking sing like no other person because she's in the shower. He walks in while she's singing some songs. She's singing it really well. And then,
in her defense, most people sound better in the shower.
Yes, because the acoustics of the shower are one of the best places you can find in the normal house.
Yes. But also, she's legitimately a good singer, so.
He compliments her, she's kind of puts it off and ignores it.
Does he compliment her? Oh, he compliments her on her singing.
Yeah, he compliments her on her singing.
You got pipes, is what he said.
And then he goes back to her bedroom and starts going through her shit.
Her songbook.
And starts singing her song and trying to put it to music. And she comes out and she's like, well, that's not how that goes. After he's like, oh, this is some pretty good stuff. And she's like, no.
He doesn't say it's pretty good stuff. He says it's not half bad.
Yeah.
Which is
different, yes.
It's the literal dividing line between it's almost a compliment, but it's not really.
Yeah. So she sings the way it's supposed to be saying. He tells her to repeat it. She says no. He's like, come on. And she eventually tells him to get his own music. He doesn't. We cut to Daisy as an adult. She's like, stumbled on Sublime, which is the name of the song you're singing, was at the top of the charts for 4 weeks. And I just let him take that song.
And she's like, and that's why meeting Simone was such an eye-opener. I'm glad I met her when I did, because it changed my entire life.
Simone Jackson Disco Pioneer. We see Simone Jackson now as an adult. She is part of the interview process.
Mm-hmm. And the interviewer's like, so Daisy Jones says you basically changed her life.
How'd you guys meet or something like that? And
Yeah.
She was just like, well, Daisy was everywhere.
Yeah, we met at this party after a show I performed at.
Mm-hmm.
And we get their backstory. They meet at this party. They hit it off.
Yeah. Daisy's telling Simone, I don't know why you're fucking singing back up. You're so much fucking better than the person you were backing up. It's bullshit. That's kind of it. Like, we see Simone have a fight with the person she's doing backing vocals for.
And then they go back to Simone's house and listen to music and talk about music and like why this specific album that singer-songwriter put out is so important in their like catalog, because it's their first album that they chose to perform on instead of just write the music for. And like,
maybe we don't get that part yet.
I thought that was here.
No, that's later. But I mean, that's fine. Because after here we go.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I skipped ahead a couple scenes. It's just this scene flows very diegetically into the next scene.
Yeah, we're just not focusing that much on Daisy's life, really, with her relationship with Simone.
There's also a little bit more in between with Daisy's life before Simone. But we cut back to the Dunn brothers.
Yes, and they are just now getting ready to open for the band The Winters, which is a new band. Mm-hmm. But my biggest problem with this is, so they go to open for The Winters, but they are getting on the stage at the time The Winters are leaving the stage.
Oh yeah, I didn't clock that.
And because Graham sees the keyboardist for The Winters and is like immediately infatuated, and he asks her if she's going to stick around to watch their set. She's just like, no, I'm gonna get some food. Do you have any suggestions? And he's like, well, I guess.
Actually, I think I figured it out in my brain, because there wasn't like a crowded room yet.
No, there were people.
There were people, but I think Winters were actually like just doing like checks.
The way it presents it, one, the people coming off the stage look sweaty and like they've just performed.
Maybe
it was just a weird moment where like, why is your opener going on after your main band? And also, your openers almost always do your sound check before your main band.
Also, why is the tour manager for the band here after? Yeah, why is the tour manager for the Winters still around after the Dunn brothers performance? Yeah, that's weird. I didn't clock that.
The Dunn brothers open for the Winters, and we see that Graham is infatuated with the keyboardist from the Winters, and she says she's just gonna go get food, but she doesn't. She goes back out into the crowd where she's hanging out with their touring manager, who seems fairly interested in the Winters, which after their set we learn he is. They're pretty good, and he's giving them advice about things now.
Fairly interested in the Dunn brothers.
Yeah, not the Winters.
I would hope he's interested.
I hope he's interested in the band he's the touring manager for, but after that he is seen talking with the Dunn brothers, mainly Billy.
Yeah,
because he seems to be one he's interested in.
He's like, well, you gotta write your own stuff, man.
Yeah.
The touring manager is played by
Timothy Oliphant.
And honestly, they have him in like wig and makeup enough that if you didn't know it's Timothy Oliphant, you might like mistake him for not Timothy Oliphant.
That is, of course, until we see him in their current time.
Yeah, in the present time, he looks like Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah, he does.
In the 70s, he does not.
He does not at all.
They try to de-age him 20 years.
Yeah.
Without using like...
Because we see that the reason why we see Rod Reyes, their tour manager, Timothy Oliphant, in the modern day is he's talking about the reason why he was interested in them. And he's like, look, I can just see talent. Like, you can see talent when it's there. You can take any band. You can take any person and then any band and put Mick Jagger in that band, and they'll be able to tell you, that's the guy with talent.
Yeah. He specifically says in a lineup, you could take any person and then put Mick Jagger in a lineup. A random person could tell you, that's the dude with talent.
Yeah, he's saying that was how he felt about Billy Dunn.
Yeah.
So he's talking with the Dunn brothers, mainly Billy, about how like their performance was good, but they gotta make their own shit. And honestly, if they really want to get a record deal, they have to get the fuck out of Pittsburgh. They gotta get to LA. That's where everyone is nowadays.
Not London or New York. He does like this accent when he like says each place.
Yeah.
And then like he's like, you gotta be in California.
Yeah. So from there, we kind of just see it's a bit strung out more, but the band's just like, well, we got to go to California. Are we going to go to California? Of course we're going to go to California. And then Billy tries to talk Camilla into going. She's just like, my family's here. Like,
I'm going to school. I have a job. I can't just drop everything for a boy. And he's like, a boy? What do you mean? And she's like, well,
what is that besides what we have here? Like, what is that? So we see her at home crying with her mother because she doesn't want to leave. And her mom's like, well, you can't. Your family's here. And then Camilla makes the realization of like, well, I mean, you left your entire family behind because her mother is assumedly a first generation Spanish immigrant of some sort. And when she says that, you see her mother's eyes like kind of darken, like, oh fuck. And then we cut to the guys and the Dumb Brothers all getting in their van, getting ready to leave, and then Camilla runs up. It's raining, so it's dramatic.
It is dramatic because of the rain. And also because the guy in the driver's seat, don't know if it's Chuck.
I believe it should be Warren, because Chuck's no longer in the band.
Oh, yeah.
And Eddie is outside, and Graham's also there. So.
Yeah, so it's got to be Warren. And Warren's sitting in the driver's seat. He goes, guys, we got to get a move on. It's getting dark. It's like, why are you leaving on your road trip at night? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, they've scheduled it for, like, immediately after everyone's last paycheck, so they can milk it as long as possible.
Look, guys.
The least amount of wasted paycheck possible.
We all get paid on next Friday, so after we get off work on Friday...
We're just gonna go.
Just
no chance to spend money. Fucking, like, we already have all the shit we can steal from our parents' places.
It's all packed in the van.
The moment the last one of us catches their fucking paycheck, we're going.
But yeah, so Camilla joins them, and Billy is obviously delighted, but like Eddie's...
Oh, cool. That's good.
We then cut to Daisy again.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't quite had the like heart-to-heart with Simone
yet. I think that happens in the second episode, actually.
Yeah, so she's at a gas station getting gas, and she hears over the radio, "Stumbled on Sublime."
Yes.
Yeah.
And she gets pissed off.
Yeah.
And you know, actually, I do think it's somewhere in this episode, actually, that she has her like bit with Simone. I just don't remember where it is. You might have been right with where it was.
Oh, I feel like it happens after her breakup here with Gary.
Same. So I think it might happen like here-ish. But so we see her with a new boyfriend,
Gary.
He's a script writer.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just kind of ranting about her day.
And she's like, "Well, you see, I woke up and took a benzo. So if I just had a coffee, I'd be super wired all day. So if I have a coffee and a Chardonnay, they kind of balance each other out, you know, a little upper and a little downer."
Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Oh, that's good. I'll use that in a script someday." She's just like, "What the fuck? Who said you could do that?" And she's like, "Well, you're just like my muse, you know." She's like, "I don't want to be your fucking muse. I don't want to be anybody's muse. I want to be the somebody."
And then he's like, "Oh yeah, you're the somebody." Haha, laugh,
and just starts laughing. So she shoves him and gets in her car.
And she just leaves his ass, which is the best. I hope she was his ride.
Same.
I hope he rode with her. Because,
like when she first expresses this idea of being like, "Hey, no, like, what if I want to use that line? What if I want to do something?" He, like, writes her off, but the start of this conversation, it's not like she immediately blows up on him. She's like, "Hey, it's kind of, like, presumptuous and dickish to assume that I don't want to do something, or I'm not capable of doing something." But, like, the more he's a dick about it, obviously, the more angry she gets. But, like, it's not like she immediately blew up on him. She's tried to have a rational conversation. The guy was just an asshole. So it's even more fun to watch him get fucked up for being a sexist asshole.
Yes.
But I think it's somewhere around here that she has her little heart-to-heart with Simone, and they're just talking about stuff, and Simone's just like, "Well, then why the fuck aren't you up there on stage performing music?" Because they're talking about the artist whose best album was the album where she made all the songs for herself. Like, she'd written songs for other people, but didn't let anyone perform any of the ones on this album she has here, because they were her songs. And Simone's just like, "Yeah, that's a lot like you, isn't it? So my real question is, why the fuck are you in the crowd and not up there on stage?"
Yeah, so, and I think the episode basically ends here. Yeah, because it ends with them on the bus
in
their van heading towards LA. So yeah, that's the end.
Well, it actually ends with them getting into LA, because she sings a song at a bar on a piano
because she had to know if
she had the ability. And then when she leaves the bar, their van goes past, because so much of this first episode is the passing moments between Daisy Jones and what will soon be the Six.
So I'm gonna go ahead and there is an online role-playing game community called Role Players Guild. It's for play-by-post role-playing games. And you and I had a game on there with some friends called Contracted.
Nope, no idea what you're talking about.
Which was set in a modern aesthetics, but it was about a rock band forming. And part of the idea was they all had tiny connections with each other throughout their life before they ever made a band together.
Yep. At the very least, tiny connections. They were all interconnected in some way.
And that really feels like Daisy Jones and the Six a little bit.
Yes.
Because the amount of times they'll literally walk past each other without knowing it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the end of episode 1.
So what are your thoughts
Come
on the
and
show
get it.
after episode 1? Would you watch more?
Yeah. First, I want to say I love the 70s and 80s rock, especially the strip.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's one of the best times in the history of music. As a music fan, being on the strip during those 2 decades, watching bands like Zeppelin and The Who
and the Doors,
not as headliners necessarily, but opening
mid-card or openers. Yeah.
It's wild. It's such a wild time in the history. And especially the late 70s, early 80s, where all the bands knew each other.
Yeah,
and it was almost gang war style shit going on between these bands.
So I think I can agree with that. That is a great vibe. But I think we are on different opinions on what would be the cooler / more enjoyable scene to have been part of when it was coming up. You obviously want to have experienced the 70s or 80s rock scene. I would like the late 80s going into the 90s fucking New York, New Jersey punk scene that fucking blew up. Like,
Yeah,
that's my style of vibe and shit. Like, honestly, yours was probably safer. More drugs, but safer in the long run.
like that's another thing that I never even like actively bring up. He's like, it's such a passy thing about like if you could go back and like live in any decades. It's like not only were the 70s and 80s like the time to be a fan of rock music if you were in LA, but like also all the drugs were so much safer and cleaner than they are today. Like 50 years ago, you didn't have to worry about fentanyl being laced in your cocaine. Like, that wasn't a worry. You just had honestly, you were more worried about somebody lacing your cocaine with baking soda or baking powder.
Yeah, or accidentally taking mescaline when you didn't intend to take mescaline.
Yeah, like,
but like still not dying from it.
Those were your worries, not, oh shit, does my Coke have fentanyl in it? Am I gonna die because there's a little bit of fentanyl in my Coke? I don't do Coke, so I don't know if fentanyl goes in Coke, right? Like I know, like
everything, put it in everything.
Okay, I know
it's like cumin. It works well in most dishes.
It's like cumin, yeah. But so the fact that it's capturing that 70s, 80s aesthetic very well, especially through Daisy Jones's character in this first episode, I love it. Also, I really like the feeling of this like documentary style show, even though it's all fictitious.
So you like The Office?
No, I think that's because The Office is supposed to be a documentary about workplaces, and workplaces suck.
They use shaky cam, and I hate shaky cam.
Whereas this is a documentary about an alternative job lifestyle rather than an office job. I really enjoyed this episode, and I really would be interested in watching more of the show. The music's good, but I really enjoy the characters and like the setting a lot. How about yourself?
I would agree. I really like the way the show is shaping up so far. Yeah, obviously the scene's great. The way they've set it up, the way they've captured it is really good. I think a thing that would be really easy to overlook in this show, given the fact that it's doing a documentary style, it's focusing on music, it's focusing on the 70s and 80s, so we have a lot of set dressing and stuff. I think a thing that would be really easy to overlook is the filmography, which I think they do really, really well. It has a lot of, like, this is going to sound weird, but it has a lot of what I would think of as, like, camera work from, like, the 70s and 80s. Like, a lot of, like, the framing that they set up feels very 70s and 80s, like movie stylizing for like how we would place this camera or how we would shoot this shot, but they still mix it with a more modern aesthetic for how we want to work our camera, especially in more what I would say are natural scenes we want to feel more natural. And then they still do more cinematic things, like in the bar they move the camera around the backside of the piano, which we can't actually do because it's a piano like right up next to a wall, but we use that and focus in on that to kind of haze out the rest of the bar as we watch Daisy leave. But then we have shots that feel like they would fit in with like the way Fast Times at Ridgemont High was shot, or like the way 16 Candles was shot, or the way The Breakfast Club was shot. Like, it's really nice. And then here and there, because it's a documentary, we get the, this is footage we have from just their actual life and stuff that's shot really well. And despite being the equivalent of found footage, we don't do it fucking shaky cam style, and that's automatically better.
What's wrong with shaky cam?
I hate it, and it should die.
What's wrong with found footage films?
They're bad almost always and have bad plot and are always shaky cam and should die.
Yeah, so I think we both in agreement. After episode 1, watch more Daisy Jones and the Six.
Yes.
And that takes us to episode 2, entitled Episode 2, Track 2, I'll Take You There.
But where are they going to take them? They're already in LA. Where are they going to go now?
I don't have an answer for you.
You don't? Because I have an answer for you.
Okay.
They're going to take them to success, where they're going to go in the business, because one of the first things that the Dunn brothers do here, literally we start the scene with them trying to approach Rod Reyes, tour manager.
I love this. Because Billy knocks on his door, Rod answers. It's sometime in the morning.
They buzz on the door because he's living or in an apartment complex or is staying in a very nice motel. It's hard to tell.
And Rod answers. It's sometime in the morning because he's like still like in his pajamas, essentially. And Billy's like, hey, you said to give you a call.
Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, I did, but you didn't do that. You just showed up.
I think this is actually Rod's house because, like...
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's his house.
Maybe it doesn't read as a house to me. Like, the first time I watched it, yes. The second time I watched it, I read it much more like a motel.
No, it's
like
a house.
Nice motel.
It's a house.
Either way, though, I did miss one thing. The episode doesn't actually start with Rod. It starts with an excerpt from a interview, assumingly during the height of, or just after.
It was 1982 or 83, so it's after...
With Teddy Price and Merv Griffin on the Merv Griffin Show.
I don't know who Merv Griffin is.
I just remember that was the show said. I believe it's a late night talk show, roughly from that time. It might be parodying a different one that I can't remember the name of, but whatever. And it's just talking about how Teddy Price apparently became a father figure to the band, or members of the band. So we get an introduction to this guy who who we were told was going to be important. And then we did the Rodriguez thing.
The Merv Griffin show was real.
I thought it
Merv
was.
Griffin was a real person.
I thought it was. I just wasn't completely certain, so I wasn't going to say anything about it.
It ran from 1962 to 1986, and this interview takes place in 1982 or 83. I don't remember.
But yeah, they go to talk to Rod, and they get there, and he's like, okay, well, what can I do?
And they list this whole smorgasbord of things. They're like, well, obviously, we're going to need shows on the Strip.
We're going to need a place to stay.
And, like...
Some money in advance to, like, buy food and stuff.
Yeah.
And we'd really like to record with Teddy Price.
Sit down with Teddy Price. Like, and he goes, oh, is that going to be all then?
And they're like, yeah, we think so.
And he goes, you guys are fucking stupid.
You can't just show up here asking for handouts. That's not how this works.
And they're like, we're not asking for handouts.
We're willing to put in the hard work for it. And it's just like,
no,
I mean, you might be willing to put in the hard work, but
you're still asking for handouts. Yeah.
And he's like, look,
here's what I can do for you.
If you're the band I remember, you guys had a pretty tight set. It was pretty good. So I'll do you one thing. I'll call my guy over at Filthy's.
Like, Filthy's, is that a club on the Strip? And he's like,
it's more of a bar, but it is on the Strip, and I'll give him a call and see how that works. That's all I can do for you.
So as like the band gets up to leave, Graham goes, oh, actually, I have one more thing. And he gets Karen's number from...
Yeah, it's not explicitly stated, but we cut immediately to the scene where he's calling Karen.
Yeah, they're on a pay... The entire band is standing around a payphone, and Graham calls Karen, and he's like trying to ask her to join the band.
But he's very, very bad about it.
So Billy takes over, and he's like, look, join our band. And she's like, in Pittsburgh? He's like, no.
We're in LA now.
And then we cut to present day Karen, and she's like, so my mother always told me not to put roots down in bad earth. In the winters, bad earth.
Yeah, so she's talking with Billy, and she seems to be fairly convinced, but she tells Billy to put on Camilla, and she just straight up asks Camilla, are they fucking worth it? And Camilla's just like, I wouldn't be here if they weren't. So Karen agrees to join the band.
Also, I really like Karen's last name, Circo. It's a good
like
name. It's a good name. Karen Circo. Sirko. Good name. I like it.
Yeah. So then we cut to Simone, and she's just apparently heading back home. She hears a bunch of sound coming from her apartment, so she like creeps in, ready to deal with whatever the fucking issue is.
She grabs like one of those tall like candles. I don't want you imagining like, oh, just plain candlestick, but like one of those candles in the tall glass containers, like a prayer candle. Yeah, they're called prayer candles.
Sometimes, but yes.
And she's like holding it with both hands.
And then Daisy walks out in the kitchen, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing here? You just broke into my place? And Daisy's like, no.
I used the key that was in the plant by your door.
She's like, what the fuck are you doing? And Daisy's like, making food.
You said you needed a roommate.
Well, no, like that's not exactly what happens. If you get to say your dialogue you enjoy, I gotta use the dialogue I enjoy.
Okay.
Daisy's just like, yeah, it smells great, right? Like, so good you'd want to smell it forever and have me cook it for you, like, every day when you get home. And then Simone's just like, you left your parents' place, didn't you? And Daisy's like, yeah, I couldn't stay there anymore. And then Daisy's like, you said you were looking for a roommate. And she eventually agrees to pay half the rent, get a job, pay the rent. And that's kind of how that scene works out. I just appreciated the fact of like, well, I mean, I'm so great at cooking. Fun fact as the scene ends, she's horrible at fucking cooking, and this was a bad agreement on Simone's part.
We then cut to Camilla.
That's how they're saying it, yes.
And Camilla is talking about this house they bought in Laurel Canyon. And like, it may have been run down and a little shitty, and a woman may have just died in it a couple weeks ago, but it was their house, and they bought it. And like, my first thought is, damn, 6 teenagers and young 20-somethings could buy a house in LA?
Yeah.
With just like the money they scrapped together? That shit's wild, but also it's the 70s. But
yeah, I mean, also, I'd like to point out that like Laurel Canyon was like pretty nice like area to be in around that time in the 70s.
Yeah, it's the canyons. Like, I'm aware.
I mean, yeah, but we were talking about like in the 70s, members of like the Doors lived there, Frank Zappa lived there, like musical icons for that time period were living in that area. So they got a good house in an area that was very like important to what they were trying to do at that time. I was talking to them for people who know nothing about Laurel Canyon.
Fair enough.
Like, that's the amount of my knowledge to it.
And while we're getting Camilla telling us about this house, Karen shows up to find it in complete disarray. The guys from the Dunn Brothers are playing pirates. Graham is in his underwear and like completely embarrassed by this girl he has a crush on showing up while he's just running around in his underwear playing at being a pirate.
Understandable, but also own your shit, man. Own it.
You know, it's not your fault she just walked in. Like,
she ain't fucking knock, bro.
Like, obviously, like, you invited her to live here with you guys and like be a part of the band, but like obviously when you first get to a place, if people are already there,
you knock.
It's the right thing to do. I mean, if it's a private residence, you don't obviously like show up to Walmart and knock on the door.
Yeah.
Although that would be funny. I'm gonna start doing that.
So she just like laughs and continues up towards the rooms with Camilla and Billy, because Billy's not doing that shit. And she gets...
Billy's too serious to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
He's too serious and too much of a drunk to have fun.
Yeah. So she gets an actual room because it's apparently where the old lady died, and no one wanted the room.
Because it's haunted.
Mm-hmm.
But Camilla's like, it's not haunted. But all the guys are like, no, it's haunted.
Yeah. It's honestly not a bad house. Like, from what we see of it, we don't see a lot of it in this episode. But it's not that bad of a house, so, like,
Karen here mentions that she doesn't have a good impression of the band.
Yeah.
But she goes along with it as they become, like, this permanent
fixture at Filthy McNasty's on the Strip, which I don't think is an actual place, but also sounds like it would be an actual place on the Strip in the 70s.
Wildly, I'm thinking I recognize the name and that it might be a real place. Oh, no, I recognize it because it's a song. Filthy McNasty is a song by Horace Silver.
Okay.
It's also a bar in Fort Worth, Texas.
I might be referencing that. Like, maybe someone had something to do with the bar. Someone from production liked the bar or some shit. Who knows?
I have no idea.
But, so yeah, they become a basically permanent fixture at Filthy McNasty's for about 8 to 9 months.
Yeah, Billy in his interview segment's like, there wasn't a lot of people showing up, but we spent about 9 months playing on a mostly nightly basis.
But, you know, like, they didn't really do a lot for us, like, career-wise, but that is where we kind of became the band we are. Like, this is when we all kind of gelled together and became what we would be as the Six.
Yeah, and then we get, like, a scene of the band sitting around the table, and Camilla's like they're complaining because they haven't gone anywhere, and Camilla's like, yeah, well, I've been sending photos to newspapers and companies, and like,
because we see a brief thing where we see a montage basically them performing, and Camilla is like calling people up, trying to get them to come check them out, and like sending photos to newspapers for her trying to get a job as a photographer. So she is meanwhile trying to get her own job and also acting in like a weird managerial space for them.
And she's like, I've been sending pictures to newspapers for months, but you don't see me giving up.
Yeah.
And this is also where the band changes their name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they're all sitting around and they're kind of just complaining about shit. And there's this one brief line that's like just thrown away where they're kind of just complaining anymore. It's like, I don't know what you guys are complaining about. I'm the only one in the house who doesn't have a bed. Because he actively chose not to take the haunted room, so he just doesn't have a bed in the house.
The best part, like, it's not the best part, but he is the only person of color in the band.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the white people have beds, but the person of color, nah, sleeping on the floor.
Yeah. I feel like it kind of fits with the fact that he's the drummer, and the drummer usually gets the short end of the stick in like any rock and roll story that you ever hear. The drummer's always kind of the one that gets fucked over. It's either the drummer or the bass that gets fucked over.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so they're sitting at like a cafe style restaurant, and
I wouldn't call it a cafe. It feels more like a family diner to me.
Fair enough. And Camilla is counting the money, and as she finishes counting, she looks at Graham and she's like, "You should save some of that toast because we barely have enough to cover rent." And he starts shoving slices of toast in his shirt pocket.
Yeah, they're eating pocket toast.
Pocket toast.
So they start talking about the band name, though, and Billy's just like, we're not changing the name. That's what people know us by.
Yeah, because Karen's like...
Why are we still the Dumb Brothers? Three of us aren't done, and I'm not a brother to anyone.
Yeah. And then, like you said, Billy's like, we're not changing the band name.
That's what people know us by.
And then
Eddie is confrontational, like, there's a lot of good that does us. No one knows us.
And Graham is like...
We could do Hercules. Hercules is still an option.
Yeah.
And then Warren suggests Immaculate Reception and is immediately shut down by Karen.
And then...
Billy says, look, the six of us are never going to agree on a name.
It's not yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so Warren has the Hercules.
No, Graham has Hercules. Warren has Immaculate Reception.
And so it's Eddie that has... Where he's like, I don't know, we could be called... Just like he starts listing a bunch of single word names, but ends with poison.
Yeah.
And then Billy has the...
I think Warren has both the Immaculate Reception and that one. I think Eddie's just kind of sitting there not doing anything, because Warren seems to be the one that just says ridiculous stuff.
Eddie's the one with the pocket toast, that's right. Warren, yeah. I confused them in my mind at the CD.
Warren was the one sitting farther towards the camera.
And Billy's like, well, look, the six of us are never going to agree on anything. And Karen's like, that would work. The six, that sounds cool. And Eddie's like, there's only 5 of us. And then Karen and Camilla share Camilla. I'm sorry. I always have subtitles on.
You know these two L's can make a Y sound, and your brain's just like, that seems weird.
Also, she's Hispanic. It should be Camilla. And they also call her Cammy. You wouldn't call Camilla Cammy.
Yeah, you do all the fucking time, bud.
No, you call Camilla Cammy. Because...
No, Camillas get called Cammy all the fucking time.
Anyways.
Nicknames are dumb.
Camilla and Karen share a glance because, like, Camilla isn't in the band.
But, I mean, she does so much for the band.
Yeah. And then Graham's like, well, there's only 5 of us. And then Eddie goes, we can't be the 5, though. And Graham goes, why not? And he goes,
The Jackson 5, so on and so forth.
there's a couple different 5 bands. And he's like, everybody's 5. And then Graham goes, I kind of like it.
Mm-hmm. And then Warren's on board.
Warren's reply is, well, it's better than Hercules.
Yeah. And like the person who seemed the most put off by it was Billy, who was also the one who was including his girlfriend in the conversation by making the statement of the 6 of us can never agree, which implies she is part of the agreement for the band name, but not important enough to be involved in making the band name decision when it's not in his favor.
Yeah. Yeah, like, he said the 6 of us will never agree because he's like, well, if we do have to, like, have 6 of us agree, it's me, my girlfriend, and my brother against 3 other people.
And then he loses, and that probably hurt his ego.
Yeah, because Billy is...
Yeah. But while they are finishing up their argument, we hear someone yelling, Daisy, where are you going? You still have 10 minutes left. And we see Daisy walk past them, throw off her apron because she's working as a waitress at this restaurant. And then we see her over at the Troubadour.
Yeah, she's standing to the side of the stage while Simone performs.
Yeah, Simone is performing the second song from her album, and then she introduces Daisy, and Daisy comes on stage and performs the song. It's just a nice moment. The song's alright.
After the song...
But it does catch the ear of one Teddy Price in the audience.
Yeah, and after the song, Simone introduces her to Teddy Price, and Teddy's like, I'd like to give you my card, I'd like to record an album and do some music.
You're pretty good, but, like, you need some shaping. I feel like I need to shape you.
And her big thing is, like, why do I need you to make music? Like,
yeah,
I don't want to be shaped. I want to be me.
She seems, in this initial interaction, to think he is hitting on her.
Yeah, a little bit. And, like, she has, like... In her defense, she even mentions this later. I think it's later in this episode. She's like, I've had producers and men act like they wanted my music when that's not what they wanted at all.
Yeah.
And he's like...
people have used me for their own gain, like the boyfriends in the first 2 episodes. But we then see Teddy now being interviewed, and he's like, yeah... You wouldn't think it. First time I actually said no, and the interviewer's just like, wait, what? She turned you down.
Yeah, because Teddy Price is famous.
Yes.
He's had a series of failures recently.
Yeah, like, we see a scene, like, just before we see them at the diner, where Teddy's being kind of chewed out by his boss, but not really. His boss is just like, Teddy, it's been, like, 6 bands that haven't done anything. Like, they haven't worked out. She's like, they've worked, they just haven't sold.
And his boss is like,
that's what matters, Teddy.
That's what working out means. It means they sold.
Look, Teddy, Dean Martin wants to record a Christmas album. Just take the easy job and do it. Teddy obviously says no. We don't see him say no, but he obviously does, given the fact that he's now doing all this shit.
Yep. And so Graham and Billy are at a convenience store. Billy's actually in the convenience store, and Graham's sitting out in the van.
And we see a car pull up and a guy get out. It's very shadowed. Somehow Graham realizes that this is Teddy Price entering the store.
So as Billy comes out, Graham is like freaking out, trying to get Billy's attention. He's like, Teddy Price just went in. And
I have a question, though.
Yeah.
It is of no importance. I'd like to preface that. Billy is coming out carrying a case of alcohol. Understandable. There are 6 people in the house. Case of alcohol. Fine.
I thought it was just a bottle of alcohol.
No, it's like a case. You can see several bottles.
Okay.
And then he has 3 different packages of 4 things of toilet paper. They are all different colors, and I'm just trying to figure out... In the 70s, was there not a more economical pricing or bundling solution here? Also, did the colors mean different things? So I'm just curious here.
You got 6 different people in this house.
Yeah.
They're within the band.
They all have competing brands that they use, because everyone has like that one brand of toilet paper that they're just like, look, I never make a big deal about it. Like, I have my go-to toilet paper. Everyone has their go-to toilet paper.
Yeah, it's Cottonelle Ultra Strong. That's the best toilet paper on the market. I will, like, hit somebody with an RKO if they disagree.
I mean, I like I don't remember the name of the brand, but it's a giant fucking roll. It's 1 ply. It's super cheap through distributors.
You're lying.
Yeah.
Nobody likes that.
Yeah, I am. It's fucking horrible. It shouldn't exist.
No. But Billy, like, holding this stuff is, like, trying to decide what to do. Like, turn around and go talk
and Griff's just like, put it in the car and go back in.
So he gets the stuff put in the van, and then manages to catch Teddy Price on his way out of the convenience store. And he essentially gives him, hey, I love your stuff.
I love your insert least well-known album here. And Teddy's like, oh, thanks. Not a lot of people know that.
The good old, hey, I'm not like other fans.
I'm a true fan. I know all of your shit. And then Teddy's like, okay, cool. Thanks, bro.
And then he's like, I'm in a band. And Teddy's like, of course you fucking are.
No,
like
Billy first is like, you and I forget who else he said are the reason I started playing guitar. He's like, okay. Well, you're starting to make me feel a bit uncomfortable. And then Teddy tries to leave, and Billy's like, I'm in a band. And he's like, there it is. He's extremely frustrated.
You can't just get a compliment for my work.
Yeah, basically.
Always got some
And then Billy's begging him, just like, listen to them one song, just give them one chance.
Look, if I were you and some random kid approached me on the street and was like, I'm in a band, I would also be like, go away.
But I'd be making a mistake, just like you are. So Teddy's eventually just like, you only got one shot at this, right? And Billy's just like, yeah, I do. Thank you so much. And that's kind of the end of the scene.
Billy gives, Teddy gives them a card.
Yeah.
He gets back in the van. Billy and Graham freak out because they have Teddy Price's card. And then we cut to Billy back at the house with Camilla.
Yep.
And Billy's like, I don't know what we're going to play. We get one song.
None of our songs are good enough. They're all shit. And Camilla's just like, you have nothing. And
Billy's like, well, there's this one song we're working on.
But it's not great.
There's also a moment here where he finishes drinking his alcohol, which is not like a beer or anything. Like
it looks like a whiskey. It looks like a bottle of whiskey.
He's like, she's like, where are you going? Because he gets up and grabs the car keys. And he's like, I'm going to go get more. And she's like, no, you're not. Sit back down.
Sit back down. Play a fucking song. They're going to solve this.
Yeah. And so he's like, well, we have this one song. And she's like, well, play it. And it's a ballad.
She likes it. And then we cut to the band.
Silver Nail is the name of the song. Yep.
We cut to the band setting it up, and they're all just like, wait, we're going to do the fucking ballad? Like, that's fucked up. We don't see the band, actually. We see Teddy walking down the hall.
Yeah, and the band's talking.
Not talking. They are arguing about the song they're performing. Because they're like, well, we could do this or that. And Billy's just like, no, we're doing the ballad. And the others are like, you're a fucking idiot.
So they start into Silver Nail, and then we cut back to that interview, the talk show. And Teddy's like, they blew me away.
Well, no. We see Billy first. And Billy's like, people think we played one song for Teddy Price.
And got a record deal.
And he just gave us a deal. He made us work for it. He made us work our ass off. And then they got to Teddy, and he's like, what can I say? They blew my socks off.
Yeah, and so...
You gotta have that contradiction.
Then we have this like series of like 6-8 months playing like actual venues on the strip now. The Troubadour, the Whiskey, not just playing at Filthy McNasty's. And they finished playing a show, I think it's at the Whiskey.
Yes.
And they all come out of the show covered in sweat, drenched, and Teddy's like, it was a good set. And Billy's like, no, it fucking wasn't. And he like starts listing issues with like the set. And Teddy like laughs. He goes, so I think it's time. And Billy's like, what do you mean? He's like, booked you studio time next week. The record company thinks it's time to get you out and cut a record. And
out on tour. You got 6 days in studio, then 2 weeks off, then you're on tour.
And Billy like freaks out, hugs Teddy.
And Teddy's like, whoa, man, don't do it. Don't calm down. You're so sweaty.
And the rest of the band looks and they're like, what's going on? And Billy's like, we're making a record.
So then Teddy gets swamped in sweaty rockers and is not pleased with this outcome at all.
Yep. So then the 6 jam out a record. We watched their recording process a little bit, mostly from Camilla's camera. Like, she's the one recording, taking pictures and stuff.
And we also see kind of like during this time, because like we get the record, it's fine, there's not a lot going on here in the recording room, and we kind of see them like getting all ready for it. We also see Teddy is continuously like trying to get Daisy to sign with him, and each time she's just like, nope, not interested, it's fine. And he's just like, look, I think you have talent, but your songs aren't songs.
They start at one place and end at the same place. There's no movement.
They don't take me anywhere. She's like, well, maybe you're just listening to them wrong. And then he plays some Dusty Springfield songs, and he's like,
Preacher's Son.
Yeah, he plays Preacher Son by Dusty Springfield, and he's just like, this is a song, this is a story. And he's like, I just want you to be able to do better. And then he just kind of leaves, and we cut to Daisy, and she just says like, it's the first time I ever wanted to meet someone's expectations.
Yep. And then we cut, the record's been recorded, and Billy and Camilla are sitting in the house, and Billy's like, when I get back from tour, we'll have enough money to buy our own place somewhere further up the beach, somewhere further up, or even maybe on the beach. And she's like, I'm pregnant. I mean, I didn't know when to tell you. I didn't know what the right time was. There's never a right time. I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do. We never talked about this. And they get married that night. Billy's like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get married.
And then Eddie's congratulating Camilla. And we see Graham congratulate Billy. And he's also like, you're married and you're going to be a father, man. And then we kind of just see in Billy's face like, oh, fuck, I'm going to be a dad.
And he just starts drinking incredibly heavily. Not that he wasn't already drinking heavily, but... And
then we kind of cut from any of the flashbacks to all of the band members being asked, well, what do you guys remember about your first tour?
Graham's answer is the best. What do you guys remember about your first tour? Graham, mescaline is a hell of
That's Warren.
Warren, yeah. Mescaline is a hell of a drug.
Yeah. And they're all just like, it was a long time ago, I don't really remember. And then we cut to Camilla, and she's just like, I remember everything.
And so, like, a lot of this is from Camilla's point of view. Initially, like, we got a phone call from Billy. He sounds fucked up, but, like...
I mean, the first phone call isn't fucked up.
But, like, he sounds fucked up.
He sounds kind of drunk, but not, like, fucked up.
Well, by fucked up, I mean, like, it's not, like, fucked up on drugs. It's fucked up, like, because of, like, sleep schedules and time shifts and, like, going from place to place. Like, just the act of traveling, how traveling itself fucks you up. Not like he's like calling from Phoenix, but he doesn't know what time it is, and like
And then the next call, he's talking. She's like, "We miss you." And he's like, "Who's we?"
And he's apologizing for not calling the day before, even though he did.
Yeah.
Like now
and he's slurring his words. He is drunk at the very least.
Yeah.
She's like, "Me and the baby miss you," and then he hangs up. And then
we just get no call for a while. She tries calling him.
She has an album of the Six. Their album has come out.
So she tries calling them, and mostly it just rings and doesn't answer. But then finally she gets a hold of Karen, and Karen basically like ends the call as fast as possible.
She's like, I have no idea where Billy is. I have things I gotta do. Bye-bye.
And so Camilla's just like, fuck it, and drives out to one of their stops on the tour.
She's knocking on a motel door, no answer.
And then she turns around and like goes to walk back towards her car, but sees Graham and Eddie.
And their van, they're still running their same van, which is classic first tour shit. You don't get a giant bus all of a sudden, like so many movies or things. We have to believe you're still driving the same shitty van. And Camilla walks up to it after forcing her way past the other two because they're like, "Hey, you don't want to do that." And Billy's in the back with two
groupies. And like Eddie mentions here in the present day, he's like, Billy was just so ungrateful. He didn't care about what he had. He was just like, he broke her heart. And then we cut to Billy and Camilla in Billy's motel room. But before Billy like actually confronts Camilla about what's going on, he takes
a shower
and a bump of cocaine.
And then Camilla sees him, she just like fucking tears over him. She's like, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" Pins him against the wall, and she's like, "I don't give a fuck what you do before this baby comes, but when it does, you're gonna show up for me. You're not gonna fuck up my life. You're not gonna fuck up your life or this kid's life. You're gonna show up. You're gonna keep showing up for every goddamn day until you die." She forces him to look at him in the eye. Camilla's a fucking badass.
Yeah.
And she's like, so far in this show, in these 2 episodes, probably my favorite character. She doesn't put up with bullshit. Like, everyone else is like, "Oh, I want to quit." She's just like, "Fuck you guys. I also came all the way out here, left my friends and family. Fuck it. You guys are friends and family here. I don't have either that. I have just you fucks."
I don't know. I like the drummer too.
I mean, Warren's also great. We just don't have enough of him for me to be like, Warren's the best. So I gotta be like, Camilla's the best. Asterisk, Warren might win, but so far, not enough characterization.
Then we get Daisy, who has started reworking her music.
Yeah.
After her last confrontation with Teddy. And she plays a new song for Simone, who records it for her.
Yeah, and they're all just kind of like, they're both just like, yeah, good song.
And while they're doing that, we get the Six performing on stage in San Diego.
And Billy is visibly fucked up.
I have only one time seen a band perform this fucked up, and I've seen 150 plus bands live.
Yeah.
The only time I've seen a band perform this fucked up was Asking Alexandria at Mayhem. That's where it was. It's like Danny couldn't stand up straight. He was using the mic to using the mic stand to like stay standing. Like, that's the only time I've seen a band this fucked up. And like by band I mean lead singer, because the rest of the band were like not visibly fucked up. But Billy is like stumbling around stage.
One other time, but I don't even know if it was the band was fucked up or. I think it was because they were
Title Fight.
Yeah, they were a big band, but they were like,
he was tripping on his mic cable like crazy.
The guitarists were tripping over their cables. Like they all seemed visibly fucked up.
Yeah, okay, I forgot about.
Except the drummer. The drummer was on time and kept trying to push things forward.
Forgot about Title Fight.
Yeah, Title Fight was a bad thing. I was like,
they were a train wreck.
I was like, Title Fight. I know you. You are a well-known punk-ish band. Like, what is this? You were an actual big band at the time. Like, what the fuck's going on, guys?
You're opening for A Day to Remember and Rise Against. The fuck you guys doing?
Yeah, I was about to be like, no, I remember Title Fight. Title Fight was fucked up.
Yeah, that's fair. I forgot about them.
But, so they are fucked up, and they get off stage, and the other band members seem pissed at Billy, and Teddy's there.
We as an audience see Teddy watching them, but, like, the band doesn't know Teddy's there.
Yeah.
And then they come off stage, and Teddy's there, and Billy's like, "The fuck, Graham? You called Teddy?"
And he's like, "No, man, I fucking didn't." But, I mean...
And Teddy's like, "Well, nice to see you, too." But, no, Teddy's there because Billy's daughter was just born, and he's there to take Billy from San Diego to L.A. to meet his daughter.
And that he will regroup with the Six in Seattle with Billy.
So they're driving from San Diego to Los Angeles in Teddy's McLaren.
Yep.
Because Teddy has this super fucking nice car.
Oh god, it's so fucking nice.
Oh, fuck me. I'm not even a car guy, but that McLaren is beautiful.
Yeah.
And Billy's like, "No, you gotta pull over, man. You gotta pull over right now."
So Teddy does, and Billy throws up, and Teddy's just like, you can tell Teddy's so fucking fed up with this bullshit.
And after Billy finishes throwing up, he pulls himself back into the car and, like, passes out. And they get to Los Angeles. They get to the hospital. And Teddy's like, "You gotta get out, man.
You're here. You gotta go.
The girls are waiting for you."
And Billy's just like, I can't do it, man. I
can't shake him. Can't shake him.
And Teddy's just like, you don't get a second chance at this. This is the only thing you've got. Like, go in there. And Billy's just like, I fucking can't. And Teddy's just like, get the fuck out of my car.
And when Billy's like, "What?" Teddy goes, "Get the fuck out of my car.
Yeah. So Billy like clambers down, still unsteady on his feet,
Holding himself standing via the door.
Yeah, and he's just like
door.
starting to cry. He's like, I really can't, Teddy. I can't go in there like this. Like I can't meet her like this. And which is like a strong sentiment, but also still like, bro, you're still really fucking shitty.
Mm-hmm. And while this is going on, we cut to Daisy like dropping off
a tape outside Teddy's door.
Yeah, it's wrapped and got a bow on it.
Yeah.
And Teddy goes, "Okay, get back in then."
And Billy's like, well, what are we going to do? And Teddy's like, if this isn't the place, there's only one other place we can go.
They start driving through LA, and we cut to the interview, and Billy goes, it was just another...
You know the story. Another rock and roll story. It's just the same as all the others.
Drugs, alcohol, loneliness.
And the interview is like...
That's where the story typically ends. This was just the start for you, right? That's the end of the episode.
Yep.
What do you think of episode 2, I'll Take You There, of Daisy Jones and the Six?
I think I know where they were taking him now. They were taking Billy to the hospital to see his daughter, or hopefully by the end of this episode to a fucking rehab center.
It's gotta be rehab, right? Like,
or a quarry to just like, push him over the edge. No one else is gonna fucking notice. It'll be fine. We'll find a new lead singer. That's what I got. That's why I've been trying to get Daisy. Like, I gotta get rid of this Billy guy.
The Billy in the present day is like a doppelganger, like how they replaced
Paul.
How they replaced Paul or Avril
exactly.
Lavigne. Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me they seem like the same person. Like, the jaws look a little bit different. Maybe it's the beard, or maybe they grew the beard to disguise it to not Billy. I'm just saying, man.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on the episode itself, though?
Episode's good. I think they do really good characterization from Camilla, like I said. And we do get more Warren, which is nice. We actually get, like, more characterization for the people who aren't Daisy, Billy, and I guess Graham.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And I hope we kind of continue that forward, but kind of from the way the documentary is being presented, Daisy is a big important part.
Billy and Daisy are the main characters, yeah.
And thus, by like some context, Camilla's also very important because Billy. But I hope we do get more of Warren, Graham, Eddie, and the others. Like, I feel like there's going to be obviously a big fight with Eddie and Billy because of Camilla.
Yeah.
But like, Graham and Warren don't feel like they feel like they're going to be kind of important, but not too much, which is sad. I hope we get more of them. And Simone, I don't know how she's going to fall into it because it feels like her job's almost already kind of done now.
Yeah, she feels like a tangential character from the get-go. Like, she put Daisy on the right track, and that track led to...
Yeah, and now they're still just friends, but like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But what else is there for her in the story of Daisy Jones and the Six? But I think it's a good show, and I think I would continue to watch more.
There's only 9 episodes.
Yeah, I think I would watch the other 7.
And it's a limited series. It's not like there's going to be a season 2 because it's based off a novel. Like,
yeah. So, though, what are your thoughts on Daisy Jones and the Six?
I really enjoy it. The setting...
Or Daisy Jones and the 5+1.
I really enjoy it. The setting is like still exactly what I want in like a rock show. Like, we watched Paradise Lost.
Yeah.
And Paradise Lost is a similar show from a conceptual standpoint. It's about a band and like how they grow to be like the biggest band in the world.
And how they fuck up along the way.
Yeah. Like, conceptually, it's a similar show. The difference is Paradise Lost isn't set up as a mockumentary. Is also like trying to like code itself in 70s and 80s aesthetics while being set in the modern day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work because like a large portion of the key aesthetics around the strip in this time period don't jive with modern technology in the modern world. Like,
yeah,
you wouldn't have had bands like hopping from bar to bar trying to get gigs if they could get on Facebook and just message the venue.
Well, no, if they could just convince Live Nation
or like if they could
Ticketmaster to put them up somewhere because they're the ones that control where you get a book and where you get to play shows at.
Or if they could just post a TikTok and blow up that way.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't jive. Like, it doesn't work. But this show, because it actually sets itself 50 years ago, functions because it doesn't have access to those things.
Yep. Like any good horror movie, you got to remove the social media.
Additionally, I really like Billy's characterization as like an alcoholic and a drug addict because even for episode 1, it's slowly building. Like, as the band gets bigger, he continually like drinks more. Like,
yeah, he was drinking before the first like graduation party or prom thing we saw. He was drinking at the wedding. We see him drinking when they're deciding at the diner because we see him pull out a bottle of whiskey, spike his coffee with it, put it back in his pocket. He's drinking when he's with Camilla, and then we see that Camilla's kind of reining him in, and then the moment that person who's reining him in is gone, he's just fucking messed up.
And it's like it's not like the other band members aren't drinking, but like even when they're not, even when it's like not a necessarily socially acceptable moment to be drinking, Billy is drinking. Like, it just gets more progressively worse.
Like, it doesn't show it, or it shows it, I would say. It only comes out and calls it directly out, obviously. obviously. But like in the diner when they're all talking, trying to come up with stuff, the pocket he keeps the alcohol in is on the left. He is sitting on the outside thing of the diner. Camilla is directly to his right. He kind of hunches his shoulder and pours it into his coffee and slides it right back in immediately. But it doesn't look like he's trying to hide it from the rest of the restaurant, which is who would see that.
Yeah.
He's hiding it from to the inside of the booth, which is where Camilla is sitting.
And Graham.
And Graham, yes.
Yep. So I really like that the characterization of Billy.
Mm-hmm. And I like the way the show, like I said, uses its cinematography, because I think it's really easy to lose that it does that really well.
Mm-hmm.
In the fact that it's a music-based show set in a specific area, so you're focused on the aesthetic, you're focused on the setting, and you're focused on the soundtrack, when there's obviously a lot of other work that's gone into it that I think has been done really well.
On that note, we've talked a lot about the plot of the show and stuff, but the music is also very good. Silver Nell is a really good ballad. And also, Look at Me. Yeah, that song is a banger. Fuck, dude.
If you like Fleetwood Mac or Fleetwood Mac vibes.
Yeah, and also, that's the thing we haven't mentioned. This show isn't about Fleetwood Mac.
But it is heavily inspired by Fleetwood Mac, apparently.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. That's all I gotta say about it.
And if you would like to tell us if you've heard of it, want to watch it, or what your thoughts are on it, or on anything else, or if you have any suggestions for what we can do for a book that has episodes, whether it be chapters or in the book, like production series, that would be great. And you can do so by emailing us at copilotsreview@gmail.com.
You could also hit us up on Twitter at Copilots Review, or on Hive at Copilots Review. I almost said Mastodon.
Yeah, I don't know how Mastodon works.
Yeah, it's all like individual servers and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't really know how to join them or switch between them easily, so I haven't really done much with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's hard if I put in the time and effort to, like, learn the very basics of how it's set up, but that doesn't sound like something I'm going to do.
Yeah, so you can hit us on Twitter or on Hive, but you can also find both of those links and our email at copilotsreview.simplecast.com, which also has links to our YouTube, our Patreon, our second hidden email. No.
I mean, everything has a link to our second hidden email if you go through there, because you can find where the second hidden email is located by going to the website and then finding it somewhere on there.
Finding the episode where we specifically mentioned the hidden email.
Yes. Do I remember what episode it is? No, I do not. But anyways, though, thanks for flying with us, and please fly again soon.